Hello and welcome to episode 8 of Go Spill the Tea. I am Paranormal Mitch.
I'm Paranormal Teach.
And we are joined today by a wonderful special guest, Miss Morgan Lambert. Can you please introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
I'm Morgan. I have a paranormal, I guess, social media presence. I also have a cat that won't stop licking my hand.
We have
I
two
started
guests.
doing this in like 2020, and I talk about Appalachia, haunted objects. I tell scary stories, all that stuff.
Love it.
Yeah, it is so cool. I've perused a couple of the things that you do, and it is like the coolest stuff ever. I love it. But yes, the focus of today's podcast is going to be cursed objects, which is a very unique topic, I think. It's very heavily portrayed in like movies and things like that. So goal is to try and give lots of education on that and try and go through with the real aspect of what a cursed object is versus a haunted object and things like that.
And not many people have actually experienced this. So when I found out Morgan had, I was like, yes, we can have firsthand experience on this. I normally try to talk about the positive side of haunted objects and things like that. But I also, people that are collecting haunted objects sometimes are a little lackadaisical about how they go about it. And there are more things out there than just haunted objects. So you want to make sure that you're being extra cautious. And I think Morgan's experience will illustrate quite a bit of why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us your kind of definition of a cursed object.
A cursed object is something like an entity or a spirit that was purposefully put there. In my instance, it started off with a specific haunted doll. I thought it was just haunted, okay? It's not. At least the one doll. This one right here that was in the bunch, she's not cursed. I think she's legitimately just haunted. But there was one specific doll that we had that had nails in its back, and we had a bunch of people read it, and it was there's a lot. It's something literally attached to this doll, and I think that's what a curse is. It's something put there. No, something attached is what I think it is.
Yeah, I've always seen it as like it is an external force by somebody living with the purpose of causing harm, typically bad luck, etc., misfortune, harm, illness, etc.
Never a positive.
There's magic involved, and whereas a spirit is just a spirit inhabiting a vessel, you can communicate with it. It is intelligent. A curse is more like an effect that happens to the living as a result of being exposed to the object, which I think is really interesting. I don't exactly get why people create these things, but they do. So how did you end up
but malicious
object? Yeah,
seriously.
How did you end up with a cursed object?
I was dumb. So there's this abandoned house on my family's farm, and my dad grew up in it, and they were going to tear it down. This happened in 2023. The house is still standing. I didn't even need to be up there doing this, but my dad told me he was going to tear it down, so I was like, okay, well, there's something I do want in there, which was a haunted medicine cabinet that my grandfather had an experience with. Yes. And I was like, I'm going to go in there and take pictures for my relatives because they can't walk safely through the house and they would want to see it. So we're walking through the house. I look in a little cubby room under the stairs for some reason, and there's just this mountain of porcelain dolls. Most of them are broken, but I mean, she's not in the best shape. I don't know if you can see her. They were not in the best shape. But I grabbed 3 that looked okay and took them to my parents' house. And I was like, do you know whose dolls these are? Because they're going to get destroyed if you tear this house down. And I don't want that. This is
family house.
Yes. And I wish they wouldn't tear it down anyways. They said it's a hazard to the cows. I said put up a fence. Nobody listens to me. But we took these dolls, and no one in my family has ever seen these dolls. Ever. No, and my family's lived there for like a long time. Someone would have seen these dolls.
For sure.
And no one had seen them. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what to do with them because it's not great if something is attached to them and I take them back to a house and they get destroyed and I let it happen. So I brought them home and I put them under my stairs, and under my stairs where they were, behind them, is my water heater, which then proceeded to catch on fire and flood my house. And I had bad luck. It was so bad. And I had bad luck until I put them outside. I put them outside in an unplugged deep freezer. My porch broke just in that one part. Deep freezer had been out there, broke. And we eventually took them to a haunted item collector that lives in our area. It's called the Euro Shrine. Y'all should look into it if you haven't. It's a crazy place. There's haunted objects. It's wild. But two dolls are there, and I kept this doll. She's okay. What are you doing? Hello. She's okay right now. She hasn't really done anything, but apparently the two dolls that are there have done nothing but cause chaos, especially the one with the nails in her back, because I sent the nails and her to that place.
The back of his skull.
He's fun.
Yeah. So the dark one had the nails in her back.
Yeah.
She's the.
I'm getting so dizzy by them. I can't even be in a radius of that.
She's the most angry.
Jeez.
Yeah, that's crazy. And this is actually not the first time I've heard of fires with cursed objects. Like, I know somebody who had their yard lit on fire by a cursed object. Her yard. And I don't know what it is, but it's like, we were talking about this cursed object book that I have. And in the book, it's like, you know, what does a ghost story end like? It's like, oh, we ran away and it was over.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, you have like, you know, a ghost encounter, something happens, something falls down, whatever, and it's over. With like a cursed object, like it just keeps going until it's gone. What are some of the things that the people who have it now have seen? Like you said, it's causing chaos. What's it up to?
So the lights flicker really bad. They move around. So people visit the shrine. It's like not a tourist destination. I guess you go there if you want to experience paranormal stuff. They have investigators in there all the time. But there was specifically right after I brought them in, there was a horror convention in my town. And oh, okay. I don't know why my cat, I thought she was chewing the doll. Never mind. They teamed up with this horror convention and they brought in people to do a paranormal investigation. And so I didn't stay for this, but we were in line to meet some people from Twilight the next day at that convention. And I hear these two girls talking behind me about these haunted dolls that they had encountered the night before. And I turned around because I was like, did you go to that thing? Were they my dolls? And apparently everyone had watched their faces shift. Their eyes had dilated, their heads had turned, and everyone in this group had seen it happen. And the owner of the shrine said that all hours of the night he will hear things walking around, the dolls move. They're now in a case.
That's really smart.
Insane. I don't know how bad they are now, but right after they got there, it was really bad.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. And how long were they with you before stuff started to hit the fan?
So it started off gradually. It was just okay. I have paranormal activity anyways. I really didn't know if it was these dolls or if it was just my life. Sure. But paranormal activity, knocking, like the classic stuff would happen. And then it just kept escalating to really bad luck. I fell down the stairs and tore a tendon in my foot, and they were right under the stairs. And also, keep in mind, this stuff I've never told anyone happened. And a psychic came to that place, read the dolls, and told me the injuries that I got and told me the dolls did it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no one knew that. So I tore a tendon in my foot. I fell down, tore my meniscus in my leg, and my husband, right above the stairs is our bathroom, and he fell in the shower and almost cracked his rib. And I had never told anyone that he fell in the shower, and that psychic said, well, she intended for you to break your neck.
Oh my God. Don't love that.
No. They said that something was put on that doll to where she harms the head of the house.
Oh, okay.
That's a common one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. And he said that those dolls were probably in the walls of that house for a really long time. Probably that door was sealed off. And my grandfather actually had a weird instance. He was a quiet religious man, and one day he just got really mad out of nowhere and planned to kill my entire family. Like his kids, his wife, almost took everyone out, and this psychic knew that. And I don't know how, and he connected the dots. It was one of the most unnerving things I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
That is terrifying.
I cried the whole way home.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
For real. And it's like, I think it's interesting too, like why they pick dolls. Like with cursed objects, I've read that a lot of times dolls are like, I mean, you can curse anything, right? But
Mhm.
dolls are picked a lot of times because they are something that's like cherished and passed down through generations. So it's like kind of a sneaky way to curse a family, like the head of the household, where it's like, oh, you know, mom passes away and then they pass the doll down to the daughter. And then the same crap happens to the daughter and it happens to the daughter's daughter. And they just go down the line until somebody in the family figures out what's causing it.
Mhm.
Because that's the tricky part. I mean, it's the same thing with paranormal activity, but with a curse, especially like with stuff like that, it's like you were, I guess, I mean, I don't want to say fortunate enough, but I guess fortunate enough that like
Yeah.
stuff was happening in the immediate vicinity to the doll. You know, like the fire starts right where the doll is. The, you know, stairs, they're sitting by the stairs. You fall down, like where you were able to piece it together so fast.
Mhm.
But a lot of times people have no idea and they're like, man, my family just has really crappy luck. And they do, but they don't realize that it's something in the house causing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's crazy.
No, thank you.
It's
It
just
was a
crazy.
lot. But yeah, there was 3 dolls, and that the man that read the dolls, he actually, because I was like, I want to keep one of the dolls, and I don't know why I wanted to keep her so bad. I found out her name's Andy. She's great, but apparently she was a mediator. He told me between the other 2 dolls. One is the one with the nails. That's literally just I don't know, the scariest thing I've ever seen. And the blonde one is he called her a trickster. Like there's like some sort of trickster
Okay.
energy attached. And this
Mhm.
one's just chill. So I kept the chill one, and he was like, you can keep her, but that's why there's chaos here. And I was like, well, I'm not taking her back into the chaos.
Yeah, no.
Did you ever look into like the significance of the nails, like what that means?
I have talked to a few people that know a lot about hexes. A lot of people think it was a binding ritual, which is kind of
Yeah.
what I think too. But I don't know what significance it had to that house. The man that read said that those dolls were there before my family because my grandfather was the first of my family to live there. And so I'm assuming it happened with the family before that, or maybe even before that. I know the family that lived there prior to us had a really weird occurrence with their child, or maybe it was the family before that. But anyways, there was their child. It was a family, and there was a little boy that lived in the house. He got rabies, but it was a long time ago. People are religious. That farm's in the middle of nowhere. They diagnosed him with demonic possession, chained him to a bed, and that little boy died.
In that
And
house?
in that house, yes.
Oh
Mhm.
man.
In that house. And the house that my dad grew up in, the energy in there is awful. And I don't know if it was the dolls. I don't know if it's like the past with stuff like that. It's awful in there. But it's left me wondering, did the dolls have something to do with that? He's not
Mhm.
he wasn't the head of the household though. I don't know. I've been trying to piece together everything.
I feel like that's so hard to do because there's so much information that you don't have. So
Yeah.
it's like it's just this like such huge history, and you can go to the local library and try and look up like articles and stuff, but you could do that all day. I
Yeah.
mean, that's really tough.
I
Yeah.
guess too, like, were they super buried in the house where like your family wouldn't have come across them and you just got lucky? Or
I think my aunt told me that door was sealed up under the stairs, so they had never been under there. I don't know why it was open when I went, but it
Yeah,
was.
I feel like after our time with the haunted dolls, I don't know if I really believe in chance a lot of the times now. I feel like a lot of times things happen for a pretty good reason.
or you think it's chance and then 3 months later you found out it wasn't chance at all, you know?
Exactly.
And you're like, oh, okay, I
it's
just
like,
didn't have the
they
context.
happen to know this. The situation happened to be that you found this, and like you, I don't believe in that anymore.
No, one of those dolls Kool-Aid man that door and opened it. Like there's no
100%.
way.
For
For sure.
sure. They were
Yeah.
like, this chick will take us home. We will continue to cause chaos, and we will be the problem.
I
They
just have
said-
so many questions about curses. I don't know. It's just what I don't understand. And I guess this is something that not a lot of people understand is right. Like you come across these things and then what do you do with them?
Yeah,
Like you
exactly.
got really lucky that you found somebody who was like game to go for it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are. There are a lot of people that will take negative spirits, but not a lot of people who will take a cursed object, and rightfully so. Like a negative spirit might give you a headache, a bloody nose, scratchy, whatever. But a cursed object can like truly ruin your life. And your family's life long term. So it's like, what are we supposed to do with these things once they're out there? Because everybody's like, oh, magic this, magic that. Okay, well, an average everyday person does not have access to these things. We're fortunate, like we know people we can call and be like, please help me with this. But somebody goes and picks something up like that at a Goodwill. Well, what the heck are they going to do? Drop it back off at the Goodwill, or which somebody else gets it. Or a lot of people do what you really shouldn't do, and they try to destroy the object.
That literally just releases it.
Yeah,
exactly.
That does not help.
It just releases it, and then they're in trouble too. So it's like, what are you supposed to do with these things if you're just a common everyday person that comes across this?
I have no idea. My thought was, before I found the shrine, I was gonna create like the box that Annabelle's in?
Yeah.
Something like that, to where it's just like I can keep up with it and it's safe. But I mean, like, what happens when I die? Like, where does it go? I don't have kids. Like, what's gonna happen? No one's gonna know how to take care of it. So you're right. I mean, unless you get lucky, what do you do?
Right.
Yeah, I have no clue.
Yeah. And that's the scary part about it. I mean, if they were able to cause that much harm in such a short period of time, who's to say what else could have happened if you weren't so on top of it? Like, if they didn't end up in a paranormal person's house, I mean, what kind of chaos could have ensued with that is crazy to think about. Mitchell looked up some famous cursed objects. You should share about a couple of those. She might get a kick out of them.
Oh, okay. Well, this kind of was another question of mine. So I think looking back in history, there's a lot of things that are cursed objects, but there's also like cursed locations and like curses on a certain place. Those are really interesting. I think the most common one that I found was King Tut's tomb. Is like a really, really, really common one, to where like apparently the ancient Egyptians were kind of into curses and hexes and things like that. And apparently there was like all on the walls of how the people that would, unearth the tomb would have all these issues and whatnot. And I think it was just a form of protection, probably for other civilizations at some point in time, which then turned into more negative things. But I think for them, it was almost like we're trying to protect our, former leaders or things like that in a way that was not, necessarily a good thing, but at least you can kind of understand where they're coming from. Was practical. I mean,
for them.
Yeah, I was trying to keep something safe that was important to them. So do you have any experience with like cursed like locations or anything like that?
I don't necessarily know if I have any experiences with cursed locations. Like, definitely locations with tragic experiences that have turned it into something. I don't know about curse though.
Curse is tricky too, because like an object can be just cursed where there is truly no intelligent spirit whatsoever, and the object just causes effects like you experienced. But then there are objects that are also haunted and cursed simultaneously, where there is a spirit and somebody along the lines, what I suspect happens in those situations when it's like a haunted and cursed type of situation, is somebody along the line was pissed off that they had a haunted object on their hands, didn't know what to do, decides to slap a curse on it, thinking it's going to make it a non-haunted object. And then they've got like a double doozy, which, I mean, people do the craziest stuff with haunted objects. I mean, recently we had an investigation. Somebody sent an object in to me, and it was a portal. Like, the object was a portal. And we found out the reason for that was it was just a haunted object, and it was actually a little boy. And, somebody didn't want it to be haunted anymore, and it's like, oh, I'm going to throw some more magic on it. Doesn't know what they're doing. And then they cracked a portal open. I mean, It's like they cracked a hole in the matrix, for lack of better terms, on this object. So I think stuff like that happens too. Do you think that yours was both haunted and cursed, or do you think it was just cursed? Like, was there an intelligent spirit there you could communicate with?
So I actually had a weird instance occur with like a spirit box. So maybe because something that I was talking to pretended to be my grandmother, and for a second I kind of fell for it, but you just get that gut feeling.
Yeah.
So I mean that's possible because I was having a conversation. Maybe it was like this doll, maybe like one of the other dolls was haunted and the other one was just blatantly cursed. I have no idea, but I mean there was a conversation there with one of them.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's almost exactly what happened to you.
Yeah.
At Bachelor's Grove.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one was really scared. You want to talk about that story a little
I
bit?
don't think that was a curse.
I don't think it was cursed, but I think it was very
spooky.
similar to where something was trying to portray as something else.
Yeah,
And
we
I
did
think-
have that happen for sure.
Yeah, that was really
It was
scary.
pretending to be a little boy. And it was really sweet until Mitchell started asking personal questions. And then instantly it flipped to like, fuck you. Like, and I mean, in the video, it's so interesting. Like you see me in the spirit box session because we do Estes method, and there's like orbs from every direction. Like right when it switches to negative, there's like orbs from every location, like flying in my direction, like at me and off of me in the video. And it's super weird because it's just instantly like the second the whole mood shifted. Bachelor's Grove is interesting though, because, you know, I don't know what exactly that was, but I do know there has been cursing done at Bachelor's Grove. I don't know if you're
Yes.
familiar with Bachelor's Grove Cemetery, but there was a lot of situations where there were a lot of people like desecrating, just destroying the cemetery. It's like known as one of the most haunted cemeteries in America. And so people just go crazy there. They party there. The teenagers all go there. They drink. I mean, you go in there, there's beer bottles everywhere. It's really sad, actually. But there were a bunch of covens who were basically trying to get people to stop behaving like this. Yeah. And what some of them were doing is they were putting curses on pennies. And they were putting them on top of every headstone. And somebody we interviewed told us this. They were putting them on top of every headstone. So if somebody came and was stealing from graves or messing with them, if they touched those pennies or stole them or brought them home or whatever, it would ruin their life. And it was basically like their way of giving these people karma that they decided to inflict themselves instead of, you know, the universe's karma, which I don't agree with that at all. But, you know, they decided like, oh, if you're going to screw around at a graveyard, like we're just going to curse the heck out of you. And that's what they did. So Bachelor's Grove, I don't know if what we dealt with was cursed, but I do know that there's been quite a number of curses placed on things there. And they're just really suspicious looking offerings and things like that as well, where I always wonder. So like when we would go there, I told everybody, I'm like, don't touch anything. Don't like even move it. Even if you're cleaning up, like clean up the junk on the ground, but anything that people have left, like don't touch it. Just leave it because you just never know. And I mean, pennies, like really?
Yeah. Well, and I think it's really important too, because a lot of the spirits that we've talked to who were there with us, they made it very clear that a lot of times some of these things may happen because people don't exactly know what they're doing. Or they may like, you know, they want to create this thing or they want to do this thing. And then, you know, something happens to where it doesn't go exactly how it should. And then they either create something they don't intend on or something like that. So I think it's really important to, if you're planning on doing anything with like a cursed object or haunted object, that you have someone who really knows what they're doing. And that's why, like, I know for us, if we experience anything that's really bizarre that we don't know, we send it to people. And we're like, hey, you know more about this than I do.
That's what happened with that portal thing. I was on a TikTok live and I was reading spirit box answers from it. And everybody on the live, I mean, I have it on video, growling in my hallway when I started talking about it. And I was like, all right, well, growling's where I draw the line. You're going to go to my friend who appreciates things like this a little bit more than I do.
Well, it also doesn't help too that we talk to some of our spirits that are like very much our like protective, like overseer spirits. And one of them was like, yeah, I locked that thing in that room. It's not coming out of there. It's not allowed to interact with anyone.
We're like, all right,
and
that's
we're like,
not a good sign.
Okay, get it out. Yeah.
Well, at least that was like a warning in case you guys didn't pick up on it. They did.
Yeah. We do have a little bit of help. We have some spirits that are like, hey, by the way, if you don't know this, like this has got to go. And you're like, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that helps out quite a bit.
So my question for you, given your experience, so like if somebody is coming to you and is like, hey, I want to get a haunted object, how do you suggest they go about that? Because, you know, a lot of people will just go thrifting and just pick up anything they can find, which I think is fine. You know, if you're somebody with a big paranormal investigating background and you know what to do if things show up and things like that. But if it's somebody who's like a new collector, what do you suggest they do to potentially avoid a situation like this and keep themselves safe?
Maybe buy from someone who is a collector, or get from someone that's a collector that can tell you the history. Someone wrote in, I think they lived in England, and they owned this thrift store, or they worked at one, but they had this whole wall of haunted dolls that people had owned, and they wrote, like, you know, how they interacted, what they did and stuff. And the shop owners would also add in, so if you went in there to buy a haunted doll, you had all of that history. You knew what you were getting into.
That's a great idea.
Yes. So I think if it's possible, buy from, which people lie also online. I mean, make sure you're buying from someone that's being honest. But if it's possible, I think buying a more mellow object maybe to start with. I started with a haunted painting that's pretty chill, and I feel like that was a good segue. Dolls are tricky though, because sometimes dolls are rough.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you, like, you know.
we've had a couple of them.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, you know, people, it's like they get the rose-colored glasses because they see, you know, what we're doing and they get excited about it, and they're like, I'm just gonna go buy any haunted anything from anywhere. And I'm like, there's more out there than just, you know, a sweet haunted object with like a 6-year-old that you're working with. Like, there's stuff like what you had, and that this stuff is very, very real. And, you know, usually we don't tell that many scary stories, but I also think they're really important to tell because this stuff is out there, and it is no flippin' joke. Like, it is no flippin' joke. You think dolls moving is scary? I mean, they can cause a lot more havoc than you would ever expect.
Yeah, I would have rather my dolls just walked around than like set my house on fire for sure.
Oh, 100%.
You know.
I could see people running up and down my hallway. I could have, you know, stuff move. That's fine. But I would love my house to not be on fire.
What did they do with the rest of the dolls in your family's house?
They're still there.
They're still there? No,
They're
thank
just,
you.
like, shattered. They're broken. I have not went back in that house. I have no plans to.
It just makes you wonder if it's tied to all of the history in that house, you know, that there was this like padlock room of this crap. I mean, that thing had been in there all along, you know, like there were people living with that thing their entire lives probably.
Yeah. I just wonder how long they had been there. Because I mean, like, she's old. Like, I don't know if you guys, this is an old doll. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
did you ever try to source the vessel and see what year it was from?
I did not. That's a good idea though.
I can help you with that if you need.
Yeah, we do that with almost all of ours.
Yeah, I try to find out what the timeline was.
Yeah, I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
Especially when there's like a curse involved too. Like, you know, that's not to say that doll and that doll were from the same time period, but it kind of gives you an idea of the time period, because usually when somebody's cursing something, they just go buy something at the store and then go home.
Mm-hmm.
Slap something on it. So
slap a nail in it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Nails a lot of times are used in binding and stuff. And so it's like, were they trying to bind a spirit to it? Were they trying to curse it? It just makes you wonder like what the goal was, because I think sometimes people do things and they may not even mean to curse, and then they end up.
Felt intentional. Like,
it
everything
did.
in my gut tells me, yeah.
How were the nails placed? Like, where were they?
So there were spots in her back where they were, but so we were taking them to this place, and I got them out of the freezer and I was cleaning them up just to be respectful, and the nails were hanging out of her dress. They were in her back, but I don't know how the nails got out. I didn't take them out of her back, but they were just loose.
That's really
it makes you wonder if maybe the nail was there to keep it in place.
I don't know. But they were really long nails. Like, they were long.
Were they like the railroad ones?
I can send you a picture.
That's what people usually use. They're like railroad nails.
And they're
for that kind of.
My brain went to like coffin, but I don't think they were that big. But that's where my brain went.
I mean, yeah. I mean, big nails though.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is broken.
What is that?
Yep. I'm trying to remove the stand. Here, I'll get you. There's another nail.
What's it from?
Do
Oh,
we
yeah.
have any other questions? I don't remember. If we
No,
did or
I
not.
don't think so. I think we kind of
plan.
talked about everything.
I want to
Yeah.
get your all's opinion on something though, really fast.
Okay.
Sure.
Hit us with it.
What is your opinion on, like, I don't know how you feel about Ouija boards, which that's not really what I'm asking.
We do
Whenever
it.
they're used, yeah. Do you think things attach to those, or is it just like a portal where stuff comes back and forth?
Okay, you ready for buckle up? So Ouija boards are interesting for me. I feel like Ouija boards are no different than a spirit box. A pendulum with a pendulum board, it always kills me when people will do a pendulum board and not a Ouija board. I'm like, y'all, it's the same thing. It's just one, you have a piece of plastic, the other one you got a rock. I'm sorry, it's the same thing. But any communication tool I see is pretty much exactly the same, and it's all in how you use it specifically. I have heard of haunted Ouija boards before. They do exist, but haunted anything exists, right? Like anything can become haunted at any point in time. Personally, I think that Ouija boards are the most misused, and that's why we hear the most stories about them. And I think they're the most misused because they are so accessible to the public. Like you can't go to Target and buy a spirit box and start talking to ghosts. You can't go to Target and buy, a pendulum and, all these different divination tools and dowsing rods and whatever else. But a Ouija board, you go to the kids section at any store and you can buy it. I mean, I just got one from Five Below,
Yeah.
The kids section.
The kids section.
And they're always on the end cap too recently. I'm like, you guys are like, in the middle of July, like, oh, it's like, it literally says like family game night. And then like the Ouija board is there. So it's like, it just baffles me. And so I think the Ouija board gets a bad rap because so many more people get their hands on it and don't know how to open it, don't know how to close it, don't know how to set intentions, boundaries, protect themselves, anything. And then they are just leaving an open portal in their house. But it would be the same thing if you leave your spirit box on all night, you have an open portal in your house too. But people who are spirit boxing typically know better than to do that. But, 8-year-old at a slumber party, which is what it's advertised for. I mean, what are they going to know? So I think it goes down a lot more. Back in the day, I'm not even kidding you, when I was in middle school, they came out with a slumber party Ouija board. I still have it. It's like a collector's item now. Hot pink Ouija board in a little suitcase. And the back has like instructions of how to use it at your slumber party to talk about boys. And I was like, yeah,
of course.
This is crazy that they sold this shit to children, but I think it's an issue of misuse. I think it's a user error, which can happen with anything. I just think that they got to get those things out of the store and out of the public's hands. So only people who know how to use them are buying them.
They're kept on the bottom shelf too. Like I went to Books A Million recently and it was like kid level. I was like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah. 100%.
Oh yeah.
And you're like,
isn't the age range on it is like pretty insanely low too.
Yeah, it's like 8 and up. And I'm like, wow, a 5th grader. This is a great idea.
They're like, you can spell, congratulations.
Yeah, you got it. Check.
You're literate. Talk to ghosts. Let's go. But I think, the interesting thing about it is, people have all of these stories about how horrible Ouija boards are, but at the same time, if any of them were able to be proved, like if it had actually ended in serious like injury and death, like people claim, they wouldn't still be on the market. They would lose every lawsuit,
Exactly.
So clearly, I think a lot of stuff is dramatized and things like that. And I also think a lot of time, a lot of the stories that I hear are not people that had these experiences as adults either. Like I've got Ouija board horror stories, but like I was 12 years old in a basement screwing around and you scare the crap out of yourself and you really think you're seeing stuff. So I think there's some of that too that happens as well, because I have those stories. So yeah, that's my thing.
I love getting opinions on Ouija boards because I always thought like they can't be haunted. Like it's just it's a tool. And then where we took those dolls, I can't remember who it was, but it was a serial killer. from Tennessee, I'm pretty sure. And he was like obsessed with this Ouija board, and they have his Ouija board, and they swear stuff happens with it. Like, they don't let anyone play it.
Yeah.
They can
I
definitely be
think-
haunted, but also so can anything else, right?
Yeah.
Like your
Yeah.
grandma's necklace can be haunted. You know, we see stuff with faces a lot. It's a common choice because it gives a sense of identity to a spirit. And then when you have like a cursed object situation, it's like an unassuming thing that's causing the issues. But I mean, anything can be haunted. I've seen like the craziest haunted stuff. I mean, I see people that have like haunted wheelchairs, haunted couch. I mean, the weirdest stuff. I mean, anything technically can be haunted. It's just a matter of if a spirit chooses to hang out there or not, and for what reason. And you know, maybe homie was really attached to his Ouija board. I don't know. Maybe it was a cherished possession.
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, that, and I think it's also we've also talked about like energy charged objects before.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times too, if you have someone who's like really truly believes that this Ouija board is a problem and they put all this negative energy into it and they really try and focus all that on there, I really do think that like something happens with that.
Yeah.
And I think that as well could be another thing where it's like, you know, this person was in this person's house and for some reason this happened. And sometimes too, I think energy gets stuck to stuff too. So like if it's something where something bad happens in a space, and I think sometimes people don't have anywhere to go for whatever reason, and the energy kind of goes somewhere. It may live in a house, it may like disperse, but you know, it may attach to something. And I think that like can be haunted dolls, but I think the energy like infused objects can definitely cause weird stuff to happen too. Because we've talked about some of that a little bit in the past, and we have had those experiences as well. We've talked to people who've had that.
Yeah, and I think Ouija board's something you don't buy used.
Yeah.
Same with pendulum, same with, you know, any divination tool you're using, like buy it new, because you don't want somebody's, you know, if it was somebody who was really, really negative that owned that board is going to be covered in that person's negative energy, and negative energy swarms to negative energy like, you know, anything else. And so then you just have negative after negative experience coming out of this one specific board because of that energy charged piece.
Yeah.
So start fresh. Like I don't let people use my, like other people use my pendulum. Like I have a pendulum, like if I am teaching people how to do it or whatever, like I have my personal ones, and then I have ones that I like let people use because I don't want them messing with my stuff.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually have a dear friend of ours. Her name is Emerald. She's on TikTok. She's great. But she like hand makes the pendulums. She like tries very hard to make sure it's done appropriately.
And she cleanses them before
she sends them. And she's a real deal psychic.
Yeah.
So she a lot of times like makes sure it's like the energy is very positive, and she a lot of times like picks stuff that's specific for the person. She's like this is meant for you and this is meant for you, and then she makes sure everything is cool with that,
and then it's clean.
But yeah,
I would love to have her information if you guys don't mind.
Yes, I will send it to you after this. I will send it to you after
I have to tell you about something that she did the other day.
I'll put a link in the description too.
This was the craziest. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. So I was on her live.
Is so insane.
And this was what, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
This was yesterday.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
You were watching her live in this room.
I was watching her live in this room. And I like, as much as I should go on TikTok, I don't. I'm not a social media person, but I enjoy her so much. So I'm watching her live. I'm chatting with her. She's lovely. And then Taylor is doing something else in another room. Her phone is locked in here, like not being used. And so she walks in the room, and then Emerald on the other side goes, "Oh, Paranormal Teach is here." Like she said, like, "Oh, it popped up on bottom."
Like she really, like she's
Like,
so
she
good
saw
psychic. She thought
like,
I logged
Paranormal
in.
Teach. And it's like the moment she walked into the room, and I was like, "Emerald, she's not in here."
And she
she's
was like, "Yes, I am."
She was
the
like,
whole
"No,
audience
no,
is
no."
like,
She's like,
Taylor's not here.
I saw it. Like I saw it pop up, and we're like, "No, Emerald, you literally said that the exact moment that she walked past the phone that you were on." And she was like, "What do you mean?"
She's
Like
I
she
saw her
genuinely
log
did not
in.
believe
I'm
it.
like, Emerald, my phone is
It was
off.
crazy.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was
nuts.
crazy.
I was so confused because I walked in the room and I hear, "Oh, hi, Tej," and I'm like,
Yeah,
how
I
the hell
didn't
she
say
know
that
I'm
you
in
were
here?
here because I was talking to her about other stuff.
"Yeah."
And she was like on a completely separate thing, like doing tarot cards like she does. And then she was like, "Oh yeah, Paranormal Teach is here." And I'm like, "What do you mean?"
Shut up. Just shut up. Yeah.
It's crazy though, because like I'll spend all of my time like I know this stuff is real, and then I get a confirmation, and I'm like I'm gonna have a panic attack.
I know it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I love that stuff though. It's like, you believe enough where but when you have like that double, triple, quadruple evidence, it feels so good. You're like, you can't make this stuff up. You cannot make some of this stuff up.
Yeah.
It's just too spot on. So,
all right, you want to wrap this up a little bit? Like do a formal wrap up?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, this has been our conversation with Miss Morgan Lambert. I hope you all enjoyed it very much. She is lovely, has given us great information on cursed objects and haunted objects and things like that.
Spooky queen out here.
Yes. So we will have our quick commercial break, and then we will be back with our spirit of the week, who is our house
Cursed object expert.
big time.
Yeah.
So stick around for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Morgan, where can they find you?
Oh yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
I'm Morg's Hauntings on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, and probably other places too.
Perfect.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank
I really
you so much
appreciate
for
you
being
coming
here.
on. It's been so awesome being able to talk to you. So
All right.
You guys are so fun.
Yes, of course. Thank you for being here.
Yes,
You're
thank you
amazing.
so much. All right, and welcome back from our commercial break. We are back with part 2 of our podcast with our spirit of the week,
Finneus.
everyone's favorite demonologist.
We don't have any cursed objects in our house,
No,
obviously.
thank goodness.
But fortunately, we do have somebody in our house that knows a lot about them, and that is Finneus. So super excited to have him as spirit of the week. It was lovely talking to Morgan. You will notice that when we did her interview, it was light outside, and now it is dark outside because we just had a blast talking to her about all things paranormal for a while after that. And one thing we were comparing it to, we were thinking, we watched this documentary on Amazon Prime called The Unbinding, which is a really fascinating documentary about a cursed object that the Newkirks investigated. And we were comparing it to her doll. And just like in the documentary, that specific object also was bound with nails and things of that nature.
Yeah, a lot of similarities.
There were a lot of similarities. Like there was flooding with that one and with hers. So it was just really, really interesting. So I think this topic, it's a little bit of a diversion from our usual, but I think it's a really important diversion because it's important to understand that dolls are used for a lot more than just what we do here. And so just like with traditional, haunted objects, we need to treat these objects with care, respect, understanding, and respect for what they can do, because it's not always just knocking things down, playing pranks, and things of that nature. I mean, there's a lot more to this. And so I think Morgan was really helpful in kind of opening our eyes to some of that and really how far it can go. So definitely appreciate her for that. And Finneus is really excited to share with you his ideas about the subject as well. We had a great interview with him, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, he has been anxiously awaiting this.
Yeah.
So, just like before, I will give my little spiel. When we ask these questions, I write his answer down word for word. I do not paraphrase. I do not change anything. These questions are all asked during a spirit box session, which you can find on Taylor's TikTok live subscription. So if you want to see information on that, please do so. I also recommend, because Finneus has a really incredible backstory.
That will be linked in the description.
That will be linked in the description. You may want to go watch that to learn a little bit more about him before this. But you don't have to.
It'll give you some context.
But it'll give you some context as to why he answers questions in the way he does. And he is incredibly highly, very intelligent. So you can tell by his answers that it's very particular in what he says.
I kind of like to refer to Finneus less as one of our haunted dolls and more as like a member of our investigation team at this point.
Oh, yes.
He goes beyond the traditional haunted doll description in every way, shape, and form. He is exceptional. Before we get into that really quickly, can you tell us how he ended up here?
Oh my god.
Because that's fascinating and we almost skipped it.
Okay, so Finneus was originally listed for sale months ago.
When was that? Probably January.
I couldn't even tell you. It was a long time ago.
And the day he was being listed, the seller told us, "Oh, I have this he's the spookiest character I've ever worked with. He's fascinating. I think he'd be perfect for you." And she's a psychic.
And she specifically said that to us and
before he was
listed. And basically we read his listing and we were a little overwhelmed with some of the stuff that he some of the stuff that he did and things like that. We didn't really know if we were the right house for him.
We thought he was too good for us.
Yeah, well, and he very much like someone who's very involved in certain things, and we weren't necessarily those people. So we didn't want to disrespect him by having him come to our house that he wouldn't appreciate.
And then what always happens?
Well, hold on.
Nobody bought him.
And nobody bought him because Finneus his bio was written in a way that made people really understand that he needed to go somewhere that was going to appreciate him and it was going to understand what he was about. And so it was probably maybe 2 months, 6 weeks, something like that went by, and he was still listed for sale. And he kept on like coming back in my memory. And I kept on telling Taylor, I'm like, I think we got to buy that guy.
Yeah, Mitchell's like, that Finneus
and
guy,
like that
he's
Finneus
still
guy,
there.
he's still popping up in my head every now and then. And actually, funny enough, the seller, who we enjoy very much, specifically says if like a spirit keeps on coming back in your head, it's probably because they're meant to be with you. And I really was not confident that was the case. I did not think we were the right people for him. And then eventually we ended up purchasing him and him showing up at our house in other ways. Basically, what happened was we were getting a different doll from that seller. And we had a finger show up.
Porcelain finger.
A porcelain finger. And we had no idea what this porcelain finger was. It was just this random porcelain finger that was shipped with a different vessel.
No, it was not shipped with a vessel. It was shipped with a necklace.
Shipped with a necklace that I ordered.
Was not haunted.
That was not haunted.
And it was in the jewelry box. And I was like, what the
And the seller didn't know how it got there, but it was from the same person who sold Finneus.
Yeah.
And then to find out that was Finneus' doing because he wanted to come a little bit early because of a situation we were going to do an investigation and he wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah, and he was set to arrive the day after.
And he did not like that.
We did not know. He showed up in Mitchell's head with telepathy and was like pretty insistent that we buy him. And Mitchell's like, this guy won't leave me alone. He's driving me nuts. So we bought him. And we didn't know why he was so insistent to come here at that specific time. He had been listed for so long at that point. And he showed up the day, I think it was after, maybe it was the day of, that we went to our second Bachelor's Grove investigation that went a little sideways. And we talked about some of the negativity at Bachelor's Grove earlier with Morgan. And you can go and watch both of those investigations on my channel. But we encountered something that we didn't know what it was, and Finneus was able to identify it for us, explain to us exactly what it was, and basically prevent it from continuing to access our home. So,
so
Finneus came when we needed Finneus, and we didn't know we needed Finneus yet, but we hadn't purchased him because we didn't feel like we had situations that he would be super engaged with because he likes a little spice. And right when the spice happened, Finneus knew it was his time to shine, and we could not have done that without him.
And Finneus tells me constantly, he's like, you got to keep learning. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But we'll get into some of the answers of what Finneus's comments, because I think as Finneus says, he should speak for himself. So the first half here, the first couple of questions are questions we ask everyone. The last couple of questions, which I will mention, are questions that we get from the Discord. So if you're interested in sending in questions for our Spirit of the Week, you can go ahead and go on there and you can post some questions there. We'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, so question number 1. If you could give one piece of advice to spirit keepers, what would it be? And Finneus stated, utilize every ounce of resource you're given with them. You will learn things you can't learn from books, as the best magic is generational. Mitchell, do you understand what that means? I said, yes, Finneus, I do. He likes to double check.
Yes.
I respect him. He's been a great help.
Yes.
He's lovely. Question 2. Finneus was asked, how do you feel about having a vessel? And Finneus stated, I chose this way before I passed, so of course I like it. It's the same as being alive for me without the inconvenience of a shitty body, you know? Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Finneus did choose to become a spirit inhabiting a doll before his passing.
Well, so Finneus was diagnosed with terminal cancer.
Yes.
And
he could have survived had he sought treatment for it. But in Finneus's religion, which is he's a Thelemite, in his religion, it is all about basically being in control of your own destiny. And as part of his belief system, he did not think that it was a life worth living to live in treatment rooms, etc., getting treated for cancer. And he knew that there was a good chance of survival if he received the treatment, but he opted to not. And trigger warning on this. He chose to end his own life in order to take control of his destiny. And before he did that, this was all planned. He told his coven, I would like to continue my work in my afterlife. And as a result, I would like to have a vessel and I would like for you to conjure me into it. So this was actually we talk about unethical side of conjuring sometimes, but this is actually a voluntary conjuring. He picked who did it. He picked his own vessel, and that was that.
yes.
So yes, he loves his vessel. It is pretty cool.
Question number 3. If there was a time you were not in a vessel, how is that experience different? And Finneus stated, always was.
Yeah, you were, dude.
There you are. Next question. What is one thing you enjoy about the spirit world and one thing you do not? Finneus said, I can finally see everything in life I knew existed on the other side. My complaint is fucking shipping.
I did not know shipping bothered him.
Shipping seems like a really traumatic
It does.
experience. I mean, imagine being stuck in a box and then you're going to a place and you can't see anything, you can't hear anything. All you do is hear driving and whatnot.
He never brought it up until this one, so I was just surprised that I was like, dang, he really held on to that. It's been a while now.
I respect it.
But yeah, F shipping.
Yeah. Question number 5. What is something you want people to know about you? And Finneus said, I don't care what anyone thinks about who I am. My actions speak for themselves. I don't justify who I am for anyone. And I like Halloween.
Me too.
Which, once again, I think kind of brings it to the fact that he is incredibly independent, incredibly intelligent, and
Very
is
intense.
very intense in a good way, and very much is under, like, I don't need to justify what I'm doing to you or who I am to you. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, whether you like it or not, which I really respect about him, because I think that's very hard to do. And I think he's very forthright in that. And he's been very clear to us that that's what he is. And I commend him for that.
He does have like a secret funny side though. Like every once in a while, like he'll just like rip a zinger and you're like, wow.
He said he likes Halloween.
You know?
Ironically enough, we did go on a little bit of a tangent. I'm trying to remember exactly what we said. But it was something along the lines of, oh, Finneus, like when we do Halloween, like, what do you want to do?
Yeah,
and he said, I want you to put me in the yard.
He wanted to be on the lawn
as a Halloween decoration.
To scare the children.
And I was like, you want to what? And he's like, I want to scare them.
Yeah.
Respectfully, he didn't want to be like really scary, but he's like, I want to go do Halloween stuff. You should put me on the yard.
Yeah. So he
and I was like,
lawn ornament.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on I'll put you on the front stoop. Maybe. We'll see.
Yeah.
He was very excited about our
Supervise.
lawn last year. He'll supervise our decorating this year.
And we'll supervise his vessel.
Yes. Question number 6. What is your favorite part about living here? And Finneus said, well, I did receive the snake I requested. What a treat. I really enjoy that little mister.
He did have us get a snake. That's true.
So
this is a funny story. So when the Bachelor's Grove thing went down, Finneus goes on this tangent about how, every house needs a snake because a snake protects your household from evil. he was still new. I didn't know a ton about him or his religion yet. About a month later, I buy a book about his religion as an offering for him, and so I could learn more about the Thelemites. Snake on the cover. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Snakes are a whole thing in his religion. And I mean, there's all the symbolism with it, and are involved in certain rituals. And this, basically, moral of the story is we got played a little bit, but we love Toasty, and so we love
Toasty.
Toasty's a snake.
Toasty's a snake.
I'm fine with it, but I just thought it was really funny and not so coincidental that, oh yeah, it'll really help you ward evil out of your house. And then I get this book, and I'm like, damn, he got us. He got us good.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think we've had someone who's had a bad experience with our little snake, Mr. French Toast.
He is so
Everybody
lovely.
loves him.
We
He's
love him.
lovely.
He's
He's
amazing.
sweet. And he loves that little mister.
We always say he's the nicest animal in our house.
Which
he
is
so
absolutely true.
Sweet.
Very respectful.
So we love him, but I just thought it was very funny how he beat around the bush very tactfully on that one.
Question 7. What is one thing you want people to know about haunted dolls? And Finneus stated, please refrain from getting them if you don't invest time. It's cruel to them. And we're expensive. Yeah, maybe that's just me, but you get it. And I think that really comes back to stuff we've talked about in previous podcasts. If you're going to put this kind of investment in something, you have to know what you're getting into, and you have to be able to invest the time, even if it's just talking to them. That's enough for some spirits, right? But you have to know that it is a part of your environment. They are going to be part of your home, part of your family. And if you're not prepared for that, it's probably not something that you should do. You can live vicariously through other people online. That's great. But you really have to know exactly what you're doing if it's something you're getting into. And I think he's reiterating that point specifically because there's been, I'm sure, lots of spirits that he's known or vessels that he's interacted with that have been in really bad situations. And it really is, torture for those spirits. Yeah.
They're not toys.
Not toys. They're cute, but not toys. Question number 8. This is the start of our viewer submitted questions. This question is from Carly, aka Vix. Shout out.
Carly's questions really impressed Finneus.
Yes, he was very excited.
Because we don't always, Finneus is so smart, sometimes we don't even know what to ask him about. And so this was really fun that Carly really got some of what Finneus is about and was able to ask those questions, because these are some of my favorite Finneus responses we've ever had.
Yes. Now, I know it's hard to see. Can you pick up Finneus?
I can try.
So Finneus is a Harry Potter vessel. So he is a Harry Potter vessel. He has his little flying broomstick. Yeah. So for the context of this question, he is a Harry Potter vessel. Carly asked, have you ever actually watched any Harry Potter movies, and what are your thoughts on it? And Finneus stated, I have. My friends and I think Harry Potter is so funny and cute that it's an inside joke someone like me has this cute guy as a vessel, because no one would expect me with it. Which is awesome. And I think this is he's got a pretty good sense of humor. I think.
Yeah.
He's
That's a
great.
big joke to him, that he has this kind of cutesy vessel, and then he's this really intense, powerful,
incredibly
dude.
smart, powerful demonologist, and he's like, I'm a little Harry Potter vessel.
It's cute. I get a kick out of it too.
It's
very fitting for him.
I have a firm suspicion that he looked a teeny bit like Harry Potter, so his friends would tease him and call him oh my gosh, you're the boy wonder, you're Harry Potter. And I think that became an inside joke, but I think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
Next question, also from Carly, aka Vix. Their question was, since you studied demonology, did you work with an infernal? And if so, who? And Finneus stated, yup, you got an excellent question. It is Chronozon. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly.
This was one we had to Google because we had no idea what he was talking about.
Yes.
I did not know what an infernal was.
Yes. So he stated that is the ultimate barrier to enlightenment in my religion. An excellent test to become a master. I am not going to go into that because it's a whole piece of the religion. If you would like to do some research, please do so.
Yeah.
We'll
be here for an hour.
We'll be here
if I
for
have
an
to
hour
explain
going
all
about
of the
that, and
research
I am
about
not going
that.
to explain it
Yeah.
correctly. But that was the answer to your question.
The really short of it, though, just for context, is in that religion, they basically see demons as hurdles and challenges in their path to enlightenment and being able to basically carry out their will at its most refined level. So they see demons as something to work with, to challenge yourself, to better yourself, which is really fascinating. So that's just a little small gist, but the research on it is really interesting. Highly recommend. Look it up. The Thelemites are fascinating individuals, but that might be an entire other episode.
And he recommends a book in another question.
Yes.
Next question, also from Carly. They ask, do you have advice for others to protect yourself from darker entities? And this goes along with what Taylor was talking about. Finneus said, stop running from demons. Most of them are of your making. Don't fear. Don't snap. Don't run. Go up head on. It was very interesting. I then asked a follow-up question, and I said, it seems like you're describing that a lot of demons are ones of your own creation. And he said, yes, that's true about 75% of the time. So I think there are some real scary things out there, but know that a majority of the time, things are what you make of them. So I think reading a little bit about the Thelemites and whatnot, if you're interested in that, would be a great thing to look into.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a long question and answer. So Carly asked, also from Carly, aka Vix, if someone wanted to get into demonology, what do you recommend, books or learning? Okay, here we go. Finneus stated, The False Monarchy of Demons. It's a good book that lists them in detail, but you must first consider all of your reasons for your interest in the topic and determine if you are a suitable fit for it first, because it breaks people. I have seen this many times. A kind of a side question. Adriana asked, what is your favorite book? And then Finneus stated, Living Thelema is about who I am and what I live by. So that's kind of a parallel question there. So 2 books, if you're interested in learning a little bit more
I'll put the
about,
links to those in the description as well.
A little bit more about how Finneus thinks
Yeah.
and about his religion. If you're interested, please go ahead and do some of that research. It's fascinating. So check it out. Next question. Carly, once again, Vix, asked, do you know any other languages besides English? And Finneus said, yes, Latin. I dabbled in a few others, but only for spells, not good in conversation. There you go.
And then you asked him if he would like any other Latin speaking.
Well, no, I asked them,
spirit.
does anybody else here
He
speak
said
Latin? And he
no,
said, no,
but he would
I
really
would
enjoy it if somebody could live here that speaks Latin. So we'll keep our eyes peeled on that.
Yes, Latin.
See if we can find a fit.
Yes, a language notorious for still being around.
You know what? A girl can dream
true.
for Finneus.
Next question was from Kim. Shout out, Kim.
Shout out.
They asked, should any other weird items be expected in the mail? And then, do you know who took the frozen pizza? We had a frozen pizza go missing at some point in time.
We did, correct.
Finneus stated, I'm done with the mail since I got here in one piece. That's the best part. They took too long to buy me, so I had to make an impression.
That was a little petty.
And then he said, the damn pizza was Astrid. It usually is.
We knew, but I never like to place blame unless I have it confirmed by somebody, because it's not fair to blame your spirits for things without having confirmation of who did it. But we had a strong hunch that it may have been Astrid.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. We
love
her.
I asked Finneus a question because I was interested in his response. And he first responded with, Shout out Mitch, which was very funny. Like how we say it to other people. I
Shout
love
out
it.
Mitch. Good job, Mitch.
And
Proud of you.
I asked him, how do you feel about psychics?
This is so interesting.
And Finneus stated, everyone can claim psychic these days. Well, most aren't psychic, just good at reading people and their cues. There are real ones out there, but in your time, it's almost trendy to claim. Back in the day, no one wanted that title, so only real ones were labeled. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
But it really does make sense. I mean, think about like,
well, because back then, like, it was very, very shameful to be gifted in any way. I
yes.
mean, think about the Salem witch trials, right? That's what it was all about. But
and it was dangerous.
Yeah, and now it is very accepted. So
yes. Next question I asked Finneus was, would you be able to describe what an infernal is? Which was referring back to a previous question we asked him. He stated, in many religions, it would be classified as a demonic entity. But in Thelema, they are pawns to further enlightenment and personal development, like a test. And I then asked a follow-up question. I was like, when you say test, is it like a physical test? Is it an emotional test? Is it like you have to gain knowledge about them? Like, describe what that means. And he said, it's different for each individual based on the struggles in their life, which is absolutely fascinating. That I think it's very much connected to what someone has gone through and their personal challenges that really come through with a lot of these things, which is really, really interesting.
Yeah, I had never heard about that before.
It's very dependent on what the person as a whole, which I think is really, really interesting. Was there anything else? Oh, next question I had, this is the last question, was for Finneus. And I asked, is karma real? And he said, no, I don't think so. I think karma is a way for people to be threatened into doing the right thing. And then he said, it's like adult Santa. Which, to be fair, is a pretty good analogy.
You know, I really believed in karma before. And yes,
it's adult
really
Santa.
Did.
Which
adult Santa, but you know what? I see the perspective.
I see the perspective.
I do. I see the perspective, even though that was something I really did believe in. But yes. I do definitely see how that could be.
It makes sense. Okay, so I did ask Finneus about cursed objects, because that was the subject of our first half with Morgan. And he stated, I asked him, what do you think about cursed objects? And he said, they are a weapon of magic and only to be used if other means of self-defense do not work. Which is really interesting, that it's almost like his magic form of self-defense from his perspective of it's a way to protect oneself. And it is, it could be an aggressive way of protecting oneself. But from his perspective, it's something that's defensive instead of offensive, right? Which I think you could, potentially find something that would be offending to somebody else or offensive to somebody else. But there is also the way of having it be like protection.
Well, and I think it depends too, on the practitioner, right? And, their morals around these things where, sometimes it's not seen as the way it's received, in the way that they're giving these things out. In Finneus's case, it's like, I would never use this unless I absolutely had to. However, there is a time for it.
Yeah.
And I think that especially when it comes to dark arts, like this whole kind of episode has been about, everybody is going to feel differently about it. There are some people that are like, oh yeah, some of this is a little morally gray, but like I can go for it. And then other people are like, this is a hard no for me. And then there are other people that are like totally into it.
Yeah.
And I think, with anything else that we do spiritually, it's really, really, really important to, keep our judgment to ourselves and really try to keep an open mind to people's perspectives, even if we don't agree with it. Because just because somebody else believes in it doesn't mean that you have to do it or have to practice it. You could think it's the most icky thing in the world, but at the same time, to somebody else, it means something to them. So I think it's important, in the spirit world that we don't have to practice things, but I think it's really important that we keep an open mind to other people's journeys with those types of things.
Yeah.
So, you know, is it for me? Am I going to go around sending cursed objects to people? No, absolutely not. No, I'm not. But that doesn't mean that every single person who does this is evil or, you know, whatever. So I think it's really important that, you know, in this episode, like the intention of this is to be educational. It's not to be judgmental. It's not to, you know, cast shame on people who do this. It's just to share, you know, what the impacts of these things can look like, how they can present, and to know that they exist. Because, you know, it's so important, you guys, that in haunted doll collecting, you understand that it is super serious and it is a big responsibility. And there are a lot of things that can and do happen. And, you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I just buy haunted objects from anyone and everyone and everywhere. And you don't know something is haunted or what that thing is when you're in the store. You know, you don't know until you bring it home. And so I think it's just a really important lesson of these things are out there, and if you don't plan on encountering them or you don't want to, it's important that, you know, you put whatever protection in place for yourself that you feel is necessary for you and your home. You know, for us, that's only buying from, you know, vetted, reliable sellers that we have seen a track record of accuracy and have a significant history of selling and positive reviews. You know, for some people, they're totally fine with going and buying a random, but I think either way, it's important that you know and you've thought about, you know, what's our plan B if something goes wrong. You know, I think everybody should have a plan B. And, you know, we never expect to use a plan B, but we have a plan B, you know, if we get something that is out of our control or more than we can handle. I don't think that there is any shame in having a plan B of, hey, if things are too much, this is what I'm going to do, and just hope you never have to use it. So I think Morgan's story is as intriguing and spooky and interesting as it is to listen to. I do think that there's a lesson there to be learned, and that yeah, you don't always know what you're going to run into. That's for dang sure. And to find that in your family's house is
scary.
Something else.
Yeah. So we are going to wrap this up today. We'll end with Finneus's final statement. We asked him, do you have anything else to say? And he said, I'm satisfied for now. So there you go. Final statement.
Just for now, though.
Just for now. You never know.
Could be back.
Could be back.
He really wanted to be Spirit of the Week. He was very
excited about it.
Insistent about it.
Yes.
I would say.
And was very excited about cursed objects too.
Yes, he was. This
so
was the episode for him.
Once again, thank you very much for watching. We want to really thank Morgan for coming on. She is lovely and so kind and so wonderful. Will you be able to put some of her stuff in the description?
I will link everything of Morgan's in the description down below, as well as Finneus's story and links to some resources about Finneus's belief system and what he practices if you are interested in learning more about him. As always, you know, you can find me as Paranormal Teach both on YouTube and on TikTok. We also have a subscription where we post our spirit box sessions over on TikTok. We do have a Discord server. We would love to have you join it. That is in the link tree in my bio. Please join us. We'd love to chat with you. Mitchell is now on TikTok doing some educational stuff.
I am on TikTok as Paranormal Mitch. I am working on educational content. So right now I'm doing like some Paranormal Dictionary. But looking at
my new favorite thing, by the way. I love the Paranormal Dictionary.
Looking at possibly talking about some other stuff as well, maybe like tarot cards, maybe some other divination stuff. So if you have anything you guys want to learn about, please let me know. You can either put it in the description of this video, you can post it on our Discord, you can message me on TikTok. All of that works. I am happy to put out some certain information if you guys want to learn something specific. Would be happy to do that. So once again, thank you very much for watching. We would not be able to do this without you guys. So until next time.
We will catch you later. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. See ya.